on this computer. All right, welcome everybody. So as people are going to be coming on in, just go ahead and introduce yourself in the chat. You should be auto muted due to the fact there are going to be a lot of people in here. And so therefore you can just go ahead and type in the chat, introduce yourself to the 4 admins we have here, Tosh, Pat, and Caitlin. Post something on Facebook real quick that says all emails sent. Hopefully I look wizard enough. That. All right, welcome people that are coming on in. As you guys come into the chat, go ahead and introduce yourself via chat. You should notice that you're actually muted for this, and the reason is just because of the size of the class. So you can go ahead and introduce yourself via chat if you would like to. One of these nights we're gonna have a game night because I feel like I have like the perfect flow for that. Like,
yes. Like a Jeopardy
trivia voice, right? Awesome. I also need to remember there's got to be like music for one of these things.
You say that, and all I can ever think of is Jeopardy music, and I'm always like, doo doo.
Hi, Patty. I see you there. Hey, Teresa. Joshua Scott. Iru. Ahmed. Welcome. And this is one of the reasons I turn into a cartoon, because if not, I'm going like this the whole entire time. Welcome, Agni. Oh, how epic. From Egypt. Welcome. I thought it was pretty good for a Fibonacci class. Awesome. So we're just letting people come on in. And at this point in time, it is being recorded, so everyone knows.
I'm not used to the quiet.
Right? I have to figure out something in between that. And give away prizes, like trivia questions. What day is today?
We're a part of blank vibes.
Should be a 5-day today. 528 hertz. All right, so we'll go ahead and get started in about 5 minutes. Again, if you just joined, go ahead and introduce yourself in the chat. The reason that you're auto muted is just the fact that as people end up coming in, truth of the matter is, if we don't end up hitting 20, I will absolutely unmute this and we'll do it the same way where you guys will be able to ask questions live time. But at this time, I just wanted to definitely prepare for that. Welcome, Martin. Welcome, Billy. We are in that phase where people are just going ahead and coming on in for the class. In that time being, you can go ahead and introduce yourself to the class by typing in the chat your name, where you're from, anything along those lines. Hey there, Martin. All right, I got a couple people that didn't know that it was starting at this time, so I'm just going and give them a few minutes to come on in. Welcome, Gary. Funny on my end, Caitlin, all I can hear is the fan. So it's like this super quiet, like waiting for it, and then I just hear this fan go.
I actually thought everybody just heard Bubba like snore so loud right now.
Well, it's better than the silence to hear my dog snore. Welcome me in. We're gonna get started in a few minutes. Welcome, Louisa. Oops, I said welcome before she was in. Awesome. If you guys want to introduce yourself in the chat, you can absolutely type your name, where you're from, anything along those lines. We'll get started here in a few minutes. People are kind of trickling in. This is being recorded, so if for any reason you have to step away or leave, that is completely fine. I will be uploading it onto YouTube, and then you guys will be able to watch it at any point in time. You will also get a PDF of the training document that I have, as well as a link that'll take you directly to a page if you want to view it on your actual screen. So it's completely okay if for whatever reason you have to leave. I understand life happens. We can't all be as excited about Fibonacci as I am. Awesome. Welcome, everyone. I'm digging the Magic 18. Seeing that 18 up there? Welcome, Louisa. All right. So I'm going to go ahead and get started in about a minute. So we're going to give a minute, and then I'm going to go ahead and get started. I'll just kick off with talking a little bit about myself, those of you that don't know me, and then we're going to jump right into Fibonacci Magic. If during this training you have any questions at all, just go ahead and type them in chat. There are 4 people who are going to be able to answer. There are also experts on this who have taken classes: Louisa, Patty, Teresa. If you have any questions, just go ahead and just ask them. I'm sure that they'll also jump in as well. You can have a full-on conversation in chat if you want to. I'll be training on this side of things, on the Fibonacci. But if you have any questions, just go ahead and post them in chat. At the end of the class, we're going to go ahead and pull like 10 questions or so, 9 questions or so, and I'll be answering those. If I do not actually get to your question, I'll send out an email that will answer your question as well. All right. Welcome, welcome, welcome. All right, so those of you that don't know me, my name is Devin. I am a NDE survivor. So basically, I started this journey. I started on the religious side of things, and then I ended up almost dying. And through that process, kind of let go of all the fear that I had of stuff. And when I let go of all the fear that I had after my NDE, I was able to dive into areas and really find some really amazing alignments. And that's what Nine Vibes is about. It's about finding alignments. Nothing that I teach you is fact. Nothing that I teach you is 100% detailed. Okay, that there is none of that here. It is all about alignments. You apply it to your life, and if it works for you, fantastic. If it doesn't, that's completely okay as well. All right. So from there, I started studying alignments. I started Nine Vibes. I got really into meditation, got really into aerokinetics, got into different things that align you with energy that is all around you. And so for the last 2 years, I've been teaching classes. I've been working with people one-on-one, and this is going to be the first class that we're opening up at this point. The doors are wide open because I am a big believer in the fact that knowledge should be freely given. And so that's what I am working towards. But obviously, and you guys will learn this, just because you have a passion doesn't mean it happens overnight. So I did charge for quite a while to be able to get to a place where I absolutely can open these doors. So again, if you have any questions, just go ahead and post them in chat. There are 4 people here. You have Caitlin, Pat, and Tosh, who are going to be able to basically answer your questions. If not, at the very end, we will get to some of the questions. She'll just read them off and I'll be able to answer those questions. All right. Alrighty. Okay. So everybody should be able to see my page at this point. At this point in time, I'm going to turn into a cartoon character. Makes it very easy for me to interact. Plus, everything I teach you is about you guys. It's about you guys picking it up. So I don't want you to focus on just, the trainer. So I'm gonna go ahead and do that right now. Boom. I'm a cartoon. Okay. And then the other thing I'm going to do is make it so that this part is covered up. I'm going to get started in about 2 minutes. All right. If everybody can see my page, we're going to jump into Fibonacci Magic. There's going to be quite a few topics I'm going to be talking about with Fibonacci, from cosmic time to a whole bunch of other stuff. If you are a seasoned person in Fibonacci, this should be pretty simple for you, except for a few really awesome stuff that's going to stand out. If you are brand new to Fibonacci, that is absolutely okay as well. This is geared towards a balance between the two. All right. Okay, so everybody should see my page. We're going to jump into Fibonacci Magic. All right, you might think that creation is rather random, but that is actually not true. There is a particular pattern found in creation that is all around us. Fibonacci numbers are a group of numbers arranged in a pattern that was rediscovered by Leonardo Fibonacci during the Renaissance. And the reason I focus on rediscovered is because the Fibonacci sequence is far older than our Renaissance. It goes all the way back to Egypt and beyond that. And as I'm going to show you guys, it's found in the smallest thing of your cells all the way to the highest of the cosmos. All right. But what he did is he figured out that many of the objects and concepts in nature, from flower petals to DNA molecules to lightning bolts to spirals of galaxy, follow this specific pattern. All right. Let's take a journey into the fascinating world of the Fibonacci sequence, a unique number series. It all begins with 2 numbers, 0 and 1. From there, each subsequent number is the sequence. From there, each subsequent number in the sequence is obtained by adding the 2 preceding numbers. In other words, to find the next number, simply add the last 2 numbers together. This simple rule governs the progression of the Fibonacci sequence, leading to an intriguing pattern of numbers. All right, so let's dive in. We start with the first number, which is 0, and the second number, which is 1. Adding them together gives us 0 plus 1 is 1. And that's why you see that quite often. Hence, the third number ends up being 1. Moving forward, we combine the second number 1 with the third number 1. 1 plus 1 is 2. Consequently, the fourth number then becomes 2. Continuing with this pattern, we add the third number 1. We add the third number 1 and the fourth number 2. 1 plus 2 is 3. As a result, the fifth number emerges as 3. If you continue doing this over and over, you get 0, 1, 1, 2, 3, 5, 8, 13, 21, and it keeps going out. Okay. The Fibonacci sequence possesses an enchanting quality and manifests in various natural phenomena, such as the arrangement of petals of flowers or the spirals within a seashell, as Tosh showed us earlier today. It serves an engaging testament to the remarkable growth and interconnections of numbers in a distinct matter. So a lot of times people have actually seen this before. This is the spiral. But what I wanted to show you guys is the numbers that people don't actually see. Okay, so when I went, before I became a professional dog trainer, I actually went to college for graphic design. And one of the first things that they teach you is they teach you the spiral, and they teach you that when you're designing a logo, you design it aligned with the Fibonacci sequence, because when you do that, it is more appealing to the eye. Okay, so as you can see right here, you've got 1 box and 1 box. And if you were to draw a line right here and bring it down, this creates your 2. And if you were to take the 1 plus 2, draw right here and bring it across, well, now you have your third box. And your 2 plus 3 is going to be down here. So you just draw a line right here, bring it up, and now you have your fifth box. 5 plus 3, draw a line right here, bring it over, now you have your 8th box. So you see it's just collapsing and building a bigger box and a bigger box built off of what came before. And if you were to start in the corner and draw a curve hitting each corner as you go out, well, this is Fibonacci all the way around. Okay, so I wanted to actually show that so you guys can see what that looks like. All right, so this has been used all throughout nature, but it's also been used throughout architecture. The Pantheon used the Fibonacci sequence. The Egyptian pyramids were designed using a perfect alignment of the Fibonacci sequence. And as I said, logo design uses the Fibonacci sequence. Apple, Android, Facebook, all of them use the Fibonacci sequence because it is more appealing to your eye. And so therefore, that's what you learn. So this is what it looks like. 1 + 1 is 2, 2 + 3 is 5, 3 + 5 is 8, 5 + 8 is 13, 13 + 8 is 21. It's a little faster than I thought it was. But as you can see, it's just building on and building on and building on. This number can get as large as it wants to get. It can get massively large, and it continues going on forever. Okay, so thanks to Spirit Science, they did this really awesome video that was on it. So I was able to borrow this graphic for this so you guys can see this. Although the number goes as big as it wants to, whenever you start coming back and you divide the number that's in front by the number before, well, now you get closer and closer to what's called the golden ratio. The golden ratio is 1.6180339, and it continues going on. And so what you'll see here is if I were to take the first 1 and 1, 1 divided by 1 is going to be 1. Well, that is going to be basically the starting point. Then we have, but it's a little bit below it. Then we have the 2 and 1. So 2 divided by 1 is going to be 2. So let's see what that looks like. Oh, that's way over the line. So clearly we're not hitting at that point. So let's go ahead and do it again. But we're going to jump down to the 5 because it's just moving up and down. 5 divided by 3 is going to end up being 1.6. Well, that's close, but it's still a little bit above it. And so if we continue doing it again, it is getting closer and closer and closer, but it never actually hits 1.6180339 and the number that continues. And so basically Fibonacci is a great graphic for this. Spends its whole entire life trying to catch up to the golden ratio, but it never actually catches it. Okay, it spends its whole life trying to, but it never actually reaches it. All right, so here is a pattern that you're going to see quite often when it comes to the Fibonacci. Fibonacci numbers and the Fibonacci sequence can be found in many fascinating places in nature. It's like a hidden pattern that nature seems to follow. One of the most famous examples of the arrangements is the seeds in the sunflower. If you look at the center of a sunflower, you'll see a spiral of patterns of those seeds. These spirals often follow the Fibonacci sequence. For example, you might find 21 spirals going in one direction and 34 spirals going in another direction, which of course is going to be the Fibonacci sequence. All right. Another example is in the branching of trees. If you look at the branches of a tree, you'll notice that they split into smaller branches, which split into even smaller branches, and so on and so forth. The number of branches at each level often follows the Fibonacci sequence. For instance, a tree might have 3 main branches. Then each of those branches split into 2 branches, and then each of those branches split into 3 branches, and so on. Even the shape of some seashells, like the nautilus shell, follow the Fibonacci spiral. As the shell grows, each new chamber is a little bit bigger than the previous one, and they form a spiral pattern that matches the Fibonacci sequence. Okay, so that's just giving you some examples of what you can find in nature. And if you really want to jump into it, there's a lot of fun that you can do where you can actually create this tool and take it out in nature and measure the golden ratio. The Masons, it's actually on their logo. You can actually create this and you can take it out in nature and you can measure exactly where the golden ratio is aligned. All right, so now that we've talked a little bit about that, let's go off of Earth completely and go to the sky. Because once you can find the Fibonacci sequence in the cosmos and in the skies, you have to kind of accept the fact that we didn't create this. We discovered it. All right. Rotations of planets around the sun reveal Fibonacci. The rotations of the planets around the sun have an interesting connection to the Fibonacci sequence. While the individual rotation periods of the planets may not always align with the Fibonacci numbers, the cumulative sum of certain rotation periods corresponds to the Fibonacci numbers. This connection between planetary rotations and the Fibonacci sequence is a fascinating mathematical observation, adding to the beauty and interconnectedness found in both mathematics and the natural world. All right, so let's check it out. Now, I've created videos for you guys to actually see. So the first one we're going to talk about is we're going to talk about Venus and Earth. Okay, Venus takes 8 Earth years and 13 rotations to complete one orbit around the sun. okay? Which means that its rotation period is equal to 8 years on our planet. If we subtract 8 from 13, we get a difference of 5. Now, this is very, very important, okay? And I'm going to show you guys why. So here we go. We're going to watch the dance here. So it's going around, and as you can see, it's closer, so therefore more rotations are going to happen than Earth, okay? But it's creating this pattern, and this pattern is directly going to correlate to the Fibonacci. All right, it's almost complete. And now it's done. So what I'm going to do is just jump to the part so you can see. All right. So interesting, the difference corresponds to the exact number of petals formed by the resonance shape. Okay. It's worth noting that the numbers 5, 8, and 13 form a Fibonacci sequence where each number is the sum of the two preceding ones. But what's really amazing is when you subtract 13 from 8, you get 5, and there happen to be exactly 5 petals that are found in this rotation. Okay, but those of you that know me know that I am not okay with just one example, so let's jump into another one. All right, Jupiter and Saturn. Jupiter and Saturn sizes are incredibly massive, comprising of basically 90% of the combined total mass of all planets. Okay, the time it takes for Jupiter to complete 5 orbits around the sun is equivalent to 2 years on Saturn. This creates an interesting orbital resonance of 5 to 2. So let's check it out. Boom. Very short, very simple. But as you can see, so again, we'll go back to that. If we subtract 2 from 5, we get a difference of 3, which is the exact same amount of petals that you find in the rotations between Jupiter and Saturn. Okay. But again, I like 3s. So let's do another one. Mars. Mars is famous for its striking, vibrant red appearance when observed in the sky. So when we look at Mars and Venus, so when it comes to the orbital resonance of Mars and Venus, we actually have a 3-to-1 ratio. Okay, so remarkably, the time it takes for Venus to complete 3 rotations around the sun is nearly equivalent to Mars completing 1 orbit around the sun. So let's check that out. And again, you guys will have this slideshow, as well as you guys will have the PDF that comes with this. All right, so you guys can study at any point in time, as well as having the YouTube video that you guys will be able to have. Okay, all right, so now let's look at this. By subtracting 1 from 3, we arrive at a difference of 2. And here we go, 2 different petals. Okay. And just for fun, let's do one more. Neptune and Pluto. This is one of my favorite ones because the dance to me just reminds me of the most epic slow dance in the world. But Neptune and Pluto exhibit an orbital resonance of the ratio of 3 to 2. Remarkably, Neptune completes 3 rotations around the sun in the same time frame it takes Pluto to complete 2 rotations. All right, so let's check it out. Again, very slow. It just reminds me of like a really awesome slow dance. Like, look at that. That's just awesome. Just flies through the sky. So as you can see, it's going around. Waiting for this one to come full circle. And at first when I watched this, I was like, oh, it's going to make 2. But makes almost... Boom. It actually makes 1, which is exactly the same thing if you were to subtract 2 from 3, which is 1. So now what you are seeing is you are seeing sacred geometry in the cosmos. You're seeing the rotations revealing the Fibonacci, all correlating to the different planets that are far beyond Earth, which means that we did not create the Fibonacci. We discovered it. And so props to Leonardo, absolutely, and anyone else throughout history, but it is something that we absolutely discovered. All right, so let's go back to Fibonacci, because that's what this is about. Let's jump back into Fibonacci. All right, before we get there, I want to make a huge shout out to the 2 people that I believe are the pioneers of what I am about to teach you. All right, 2 brilliant individuals, Lucius Kahn and Jan 108, both discovered that after 60 digits, the numbers in the modified Fibonacci sequence start repeating. Okay, so that means no matter how big that number gets, as soon as it hits 60, it's going to start this process all over again. Okay, this is the last digit of Fibonacci. I'll be talking about it, so don't worry. This is just a shout out to them because I want basically credit where it's due. All right. Okay, so the Fibonacci sequence begins with 0 and 1, and each subsequent number is the sum of the 2 preceding numbers, as we talked about. Okay, so that's why it is 0, 1, 1, 2, 3, 5, 8, 13, 21, 34, 55, 89, 144. All you're doing is adding the 2 digits before to get the next number. That is exactly what you're doing. Okay. Now, this can grow as big as it wants to, which is the amazing part, because when you actually look up the 216th Fibonacci number, you end up starting with 382 quadrodecillion. Okay. I don't even know what that looks like in terms of money or anything along those lines. Okay. But when you add the individual numbers, you get 216. Okay. So that's 15 3-digit intervals of a lot of money or time or whatever it is that you want to put in there. Okay. So that's only 216 numbers into the Fibonacci. That's how massive this number is. That is the reason that Fibonacci holds time. It began at the very, very beginning with 0 and 1, and it has not stopped since that point. And if we didn't have a way to actually be able to find patterns in it, we wouldn't be able to understand Fibonacci at all. But because of the fact that these repeat patterns show up, we can actually follow the Fibonacci sequence. And that's what's so amazing about this. All right. So for the purpose of our exploration, we will focus solely on the last digit of the Fibonacci number. When we consider only the last digit, we end up with a pattern of 1, 1, 2, 3, 5, 8, 3, 1, 4, 5, 9, 4, and it goes on forever. Okay. And I'm going to show you exactly why. But basically, we are just taking the last digit. So if you look up here, right, if we jump to 13, the last digit is 3. If we jump to 21, the last digit is 1. If we jump to 34, the last digit is 4. If we jump to 55, the last digit is 5, so on and so forth. That's the pattern that we're following. We're following the last digit of it. Okay. All right. So what happens when you apply it to a circle? When you apply it to a circle, what you actually reveal is the 60 digits fit perfectly around, separated by 6 degrees. And you'll notice that every single fifth number is a 5 or a 0. Okay. So if you look at this, I broke it down so you can actually see this. This is split into 5. So it 5, 5, 0, 5, 5, 0, 5, 5, 0, 5, 5, 0. And it keeps going until you have the complete circle. Okay. So I highlighted this so you can actually see the separation. The first thing that you will notice is you will notice that there are 4 zeros and only 4 zeros. And it just so happens that these 4 zeros fit perfectly at north, south, east, and west. There are no other zeros in this pattern whatsoever. Okay, so that's the first thing I want you to know, is now from the Fibonacci, we have officially created a compass. That's not supposed to be possible, but here it is, we're looking at it. Okay, but that's not all. When you look at the numbers around a 360-degree rotation, you also reveal a cosmic clock, because what you'll see is there are exactly 12. If you start with the first 5, well, that's 1 o'clock. Go to the second 5, that's 2 o'clock. Then you go to the 0, that's 3 o'clock. Next 5 is 4 o'clock. Next 5 is 5. Then 0 is 6. And it makes a perfect clock, the 12 hours on a clock. Okay. Again, just by following the Fibonacci. I didn't move any of these 5s. I didn't move any of these 0s. It perfectly fit within there. Okay. If you only knew the magnificence of 3, 6, and 9, you would have a key to the universe, Nikola Tesla. Those of you that are not okay with Nikola Tesla taking credit for this, I have no problem with it. But if you're not okay with that, put any name that you want there. It's still going to reveal the exact same information, which is the key of this. It's not about who said it. But when you really study Nikola Tesla, you understand that he knew his 3, 6, and 9s. Okay. All zeros fall on a 3, 6, and 9. And that's really awesome. So if you start with the 0 up here, 1 and 2, now that's a 12. But 1 and 2 is going to give you a 3. So there's your 3. Then you have a 3 here. Then you have a 6 here. Then you have a 9 here. Okay. So that could be one of the first reasons why it was hinted to us that these numbers were important. One of many, of course. All right. There are more patterns in the Fibonacci sequence than just the repetition of the last digit after the 60 digits. And so we're going to talk about that. This is called a 24-digit Fibonacci repeat pattern. Okay, so now we've got the 60-digit last digit repeat pattern, and now we have a 24-digit repeat pattern. Okay, when we examine the entire Fibonacci number, an interesting pattern emerges when we add up the individual digits for each number. A digital root, basically, what that is called. Okay, so let's consider the first 12 Fibonacci numbers: 1, 1, 2, 3, 5, 8, 13, 21, 34, 55, 89, and 144. So what we are doing at this point is we are writing them out. 1, 1, 2, 3, 5, 8. Now, once we're at 13, we have 2 digits. Okay, so anytime you're dealing with digital roots, you got to add everything you have. Throw the whole kitchen sink at it. Okay, so 1 plus 3 is going to be 4. That's how you ended up with a 4. Next one is 21. Well, this is still 2 numbers. So we're going to add 2 plus 1 equals 3. Next one is 34. 3 plus 4 is going to be 7. So all you're doing is if it's a singular digit, you keep it where it is. If it's got a dual digit, you add the 2 numbers until you have a single digit. But let's look at 55 because that's going to throw you off a little. 55 is 5 plus 5, which is going to be 10. But notice we still have 2 numbers here. So all we do is just add those together. 1 plus 0 is 1. So that's how you end up with a 24-digit repeat pattern. Okay. And I'm going to show you exactly what that looks like. All right. So now that we have the 12 and you can see that there is a 24 digit. So in other words, if I kept going on, it's going to repeat every 24 numbers, no matter how big the Fibonacci gets, it's going to keep repeating. Another really great point that we can point and say, okay, I know where we are on the Fibonacci. Okay. So if we write out the first 24 digits, it looks just like this. Okay, it's all these numbers right here. But what is absolutely astronomically awesome is when you end up aligning these 12 on 12, you end up with 9s across the board. Okay, I'm not changing anything. 1, 1, 2, 3, 5, 8, 4, 3, 7, 1, 8, 9. That's the first 12. The next 12 is 8, 8, 7, 6, 4, 1, 5, 6, 2, 8, 1, 9. And if you don't understand where I got that, you can do this math yourself. 1 plus 1 is 2. 1 plus 2 is 3. 2 plus 3 is 5. 3 plus 5 is 8. 8 plus 5 is going to be 13, but 1 plus 3 is going to be 4. 4 plus 8 is going to be 12. 1 plus 2 is going to be 3. So you can do it yourself and double check my math at any point in time. But you're going to notice that your 12 on 12 is going to give you 9 because 1 plus 8 is 9 and 1 plus 8 is 9 and 2 plus 7 is 9 and 3 plus 6 is 9. It perfectly balances itself out. Okay. 9 times 12 is 108. 108 is one of the most powerful numbers that we have in existence. You study 108, you're going to start opening up doors you didn't even know were actually closed. It is an amazing number. So I'm going to show you a couple of things. Number one, the number of constellations in our whole galaxy multiplied by the number of directions gives you 108. There are 27 times 4 is 108. There are also 12 constellations in our night sky that we watch rotate. And there are 9 arc segments. 9 times 12 is going to be 108. All right. The distance between the Earth and the sun is approximately 108 times the diameter of the sun. The diameter of the sun is 864,000 miles. Now I'm going to say this really quick. That is 99.99999%. So if you're looking for that 100%, like I said, my classes are about alignments, not facts. Okay, so this is as close as we can actually get. If you take 864,000 and you multiply it by 108, you end up with roughly about 93 million, which is exactly the distance between the Earth and the sun. Okay, if we were to do the same thing with the moon is 2,160 miles in diameter. So therefore, 2,160 times 108 is going to give you roughly about 238,000, which is the exact distance between the Earth and the moon, 238,000 miles. Okay, so it's absolutely amazing that that 108 pops out again, even when we're talking about the sun and the moon. All right, the mala beads in Hinduism and Buddhism typically consist of 108 beads, and this is because they focus on 108 prayers. 1 prayer per bead. Keeps track of time, makes it very simple, keeps you in the present moment. All right, the Sanskrit alphabet consists of 54 letters, each with a masculine and feminine form, totaling in 108. And my favorite one, Stonehenge. All right, a prehistoric monument in England has a diameter of 108 feet. Okay, and this is absolutely amazing because when you stand in the center of this at certain eclipses, when you look through different stones, it isolates everything in the sky and only shows you the eclipse. Really, really, really amazing stuff. All right, so again, really focusing on that 108, the power of 108. And if you study it yourself, you're going to really find some amazing alignments. All right, so let's look at what this 24 looks like in terms of cosmic time. Okay, so if we were to go ahead and place it around a circle, this is what we end up with. Again, just the 1, 1, 2, 3, 5, 8, 4, 3, 7, 1, 8, and then it goes all the way around for those 24 that I showed you. Okay, so there's our 24 hours in a day. We have 24 hours in a day. We can all agree on that roughly. There's your 24 hours in a day. What also is amazing about this is it's also going to reveal to you the Star of David. because the 3, the 6, and the 9 are going to make a triangle, an equilateral triangle here, and the 3, the 6, and the 9 are going to make it rotating this way, giving you your balance of your Star of David. And if you were to expand on this, you could then find every shape you're looking for. Sorry. You can find every shape that you're looking for, including the 64 star tetrahedron. Sorry, I had to drink some water. So that's absolutely amazing as well. Okay. You guys might have seen this on Facebook. This is my cosmic clock. I have been working on creating a cosmic clock. Basically, I'm working with a company that is actually looking on making this a face of a clock. So really excited about that as well. So basically, what I want to talk about is some of the basics on here. I don't want to go into too much depth because there's a lot that goes into this. I could do in another class, but I do want to show you some things. Okay. So as you can see right here, this is your 60-digit repeat pattern right here. Okay. Everybody should be able to see my page going around. You can make it a little bigger if you want. Okay. This is going around. Notice, you're going to notice that it says 6-6. These are not 6-6. It's just flipped around. So these are 9-9, the same as it was all the others. Okay. So that's the first thing you have inside of the clock. The first thing you're going to notice after that is you're going to notice that around the clock is something that is called a Lucas sequence. Those of you that are stock traders, there is a reason that the Fibonacci sequence fails you 50% of the time. And that is because Fibonacci is only 50% of what you should be looking for. Fibonacci always starts with a number, another number, and then you end up getting the third number. And it always starts with either a balanced number or a smaller number. But when you start with a bigger number, you reveal what is called a Lucas sequence. Okay, and I'm going to show you that here, right here. 2 plus 1 is 3. 3 plus 1 is 4. 4 plus 3 is 7. So what I did is I started with a bigger number and then added a smaller number. And that will reveal what is called a Lucas sequence. This is 12 numbers that repeat indefinitely forever. Okay, what's really cool is that around the 60 digits you have right here, you actually find the exact same numbers, but found around the 5s and the 0s. Okay, so I'm going to show you that. 1 plus 1 is 2. Okay, 3 plus 8 is going to be 11. But remember, we're taking the last digit. So we have 1. 4 plus 9 is going to end up being 13. So we take the last digit. It's going to be 3. So that same exact number that I just read to you is found on the outside as well. Okay, so, and then if you take the 5s, as I said, the 5s and the 0s, then you have your clock. 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock. I sound like that one song. But basically, that's what this is all balanced with. And it's absolutely amazing, as I'm going to show you. So let's go and zoom it down a little bit. Okay, so if you were to take the 12 that are mentioned here and you were to make them 120 minutes, you now have a total of 1,440 minutes, which is the exact amount of minutes you have in your day. Okay, that's one way you can align those 12s. But remember, there's 2. So what else has 12? Very simple. Your zodiacs. You can align your watch at a certain point to follow not only the minutes of the day, but also the zodiacs. Okay, so absolutely amazing. I just wanted to show you guys this because it is very important when you start, right? It's very important when you start getting into studying Fibonacci, is that it is not about just the numbers themselves. The real magic is aligned whenever you start applying it to shapes, to sacred geometry. Okay. All right. Now let's jump into nature, how nature forms using the Fibonacci sequence. Okay. So here we go. We got our 60 digits here, and I'm going to show you by numbers. I'm not even showing you nature. I'm going to show you by numbers. All right. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you the 60 digits that we have right here. And what we're going to do is we're going to cut that in half. Okay. So we're going to break it up. And when we break it up, what we actually end up with is a wave. Okay, so this is the top part, this is the bottom part, this is the top part, this is the bottom part. And so you end up having this really awesome wave. But what's very cool is when you align this wave or these parts in a certain way, okay, just like I'm showing right here, and you repeat at a certain angle, you end up with 2 different types of angles. Okay, so I'm going to show you. If we were to repeat it at a 137, notice I love the number 137. It talks about the power of choice. That is what 137 holds. It is the glue that holds everything together by free will, by your ability to choose. The most powerful thing that a human can do is choose something. Okay, but notice if I rotated this and I did this 137 times, I end up with the exact same thing over and over and over. If there was something I wanted to share in here, it's not getting outside anywhere. It's just staying within this circle. But if I were to add the 0.5, 137.5, which is the golden angle of time, it is the golden angle of creation. When I add that 0.5, I now create this spiral. And this spiral is what allows seeds to get out more in nature. It's what allows basically something to thrive, because as long as it can expand in this way, then basically it can reach a lot more. If it stayed this way, it's just the same thing over and over and over. And that is very important when you're looking at nature, because that is why Fibonacci is found. It is all about spreading. It is not about containing. Okay. All right. Now for a bonus, because I love Fibonacci, I am going to show you guys that not only is it the first 12 that start with 1, 1, it's every single one. So as you can see right here, if I start with 2, 2, well, 2 plus 2 is 4, and 2 plus 4 is 6, and 4 plus, and 6 plus 4 is going to be 10. 1 plus 0 is going to be 1. 1 plus 6 is 7. 7 plus 1 is 8. 8 plus 7 is going to be 6. I just learned to do this faster. Anything plus 8 is going to be the number below. 6 plus 5 is going to be 11, which is 2. 1 plus 1 is 2. 5 plus 2 is 7. So basically what you're seeing is you're seeing the exact same Fibonacci, but for 24 times starting with 2, 2. And when you align them, oh, look at that. 9 all the way across the board. If I did it with 3, 3, same exact thing. Add them up all the way across the board. I've got 9s. Same with 4, 4, 5, 5, 6, 6, 7, 7, 8, 8, and 9, 9. But if you thought that was amazing, here's where it's really going to blow your mind. It's not every single number that's 1, 1, 2, 2 or anything. It's every single number that you start with. You could start with 2, 8. 2 plus 8 is going to be 10, which is going to be my 1. 8 plus 1 is going to be 9, which is going to end up being 10, which is my 1. 9 plus 1 is going to be 10, which is going to be my 1. 1 plus 1 is going to be 2. It doesn't matter what two numbers you start with. If you go out 24 digits out, you can align them 12 on 12, and it is going to equal to 9 every single time. This is one of the very first things that I created. I created a massive chart that has every single number that you could possibly think of starting, and it shows how every single one aligns with 12 nines. That alone is astronomically amazing. Okay. So if you're interested in that chart, let me know when I send out the email to you guys. I'll be sure to get you that as well. Okay. So that's just a bonus to show you that the reason I talk about 9 vibes and also other stuff is because in other stuff, you always find 9. 9 is love. It's unconditional love. It's found in everything. That's why I always tell people there is truth in all. Everything you find has truth. Make no mistake. The darkest things, the lightest things have truth. But not all is truth. And it's up to us to discern what aligns and what doesn't align in your life. All right. Okay. Thank you, Caitlin, for that mid check-in. Again, for those of you that joined, because I see the number is absolutely increased, I just want to let you guys know at the very end of this, Caitlin's going to read off 9 questions, and I'm going to answer them basically because of the fact that, I want to make sure that we had enough time. So basically, if you have a question, type it in chat. If Tosh, Pat, or Caitlin can answer it, they'll answer it in chat. If not, I will absolutely get it at the end of class. All right. Okay. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to talk about vortex math and the Fibonacci. Vortex math is something that's very popular. People talk about it, but they don't really quite understand it. So I really wanted to just hit a very quick thing to show you vortex math so I can show you where Fibonacci comes into this. All right. So vortex math basically is the understanding that when you are dealing with binary or doubling, you end up revealing this pattern that repeats to forever. And it's really funny because for almost a year, this giant circle was on my wall. I bought a bunch of washable markers and drew this on my wall so I could practice and see how this all worked out. So basically, whenever you're dealing with doubling, 1 times 2 is 2, 2 times 2 is 4, 4 times 2 is 8, 8 times 2 is 16, 1 plus 6 is 7. 7 times 2 is 14, 1 plus 4 is 5. 5 times 2 is 10, which is going to be 1 plus 0 is 1. Now, you can also do this following naturally. So it could have been 8 times 2 is 16. 16 times 2 is 32. 32 times 2 is 64. It doesn't matter which way you do it. You're going to end up with this exact same pattern of 1, 2, 4, 8, 7, 5, 1. 1, 2, 4, 8, 7, 5, 1. As long as you are doubling, it will repeat forever. Okay. So Marco Rodin and also Nikola Tesla figured out that if you draw a circle and you plot it with a 9 at the top and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, you actually reveal a very amazing alignment, because number one, this pattern right here that I just read off leaves 3 numbers out. And what numbers are those? Well, of course, the numbers that Tesla was talking about, 3, 6, and 9 are not being touched, because if I were to follow this pattern and actually plot it, well, 1 to 2, 2 to 4, 4 to 8, 8 to 7, 7 to 5, 5 back to 1. It just keeps going, but it never touches 3, 6, or 9. And this is very important, because if I were to take an electron and I were to drop it at a 1 point and drop it at an 8 point, what's going to happen is that electron's going to go wee, and it's going to follow its own pattern, and this one's going to follow its own pattern, and they're going to hit right in the center. And when they hit right in the center, they're going to push each other back out, and they're going to start the process all over again. This was the theory behind free energy. Basically, if you could figure out a way to generate this, it would self-sustain itself, and therefore you would have free energy. Okay, really cool stuff. Now, on top of the fact that I multiplied, you can also add. So if you're not into multiplication, because I wasn't for a long time, 1 plus 1 is 2, 2 plus 2 is 4. So you can absolutely add, and you'll end up with the exact same pattern. Those of you that are going to take my Aurora Borealis Sigil Magic class, that's going to be coming up, I'll dive a lot more into this when I show you that you can you find the exact same pattern when you're doing the Aurora Borealis math, the snake that eats its own tail. All right. Now, on top of the fact that it's doubling, it's also dividing. So half of 2 is 1. Half of 1 is 0.5, half of 5 is 2.5, half of 7 is 3.5, half of 8 is 4, half of 4 is 2, half of 2 is 1, and it goes on forever. Okay, so it doesn't matter which way you go. Whenever you're dealing with those doubles, whenever you're dealing with the 2s, whenever you're dealing with binary, this pattern is going to reveal itself. All right. Okay, so I taught you this because I want to show you this. All right, so when we take the first 12 of the Fibonacci, we call that tower number 1. And I tried to make a little pillar tower to show you that. When we take the second 12, we have tower number 2. And in the center right here, we've got that vortex math that I just showed you. And remember those numbers: 1, 2, 4, 8, 7, 5. 1, 2, 4, 8, 7, 5. Okay, because when you take the first 3 numbers in the Fibonacci, well, you end up with 4. 1 plus 1 plus 2 is 4. And then there's a 3 there. And then you take the next ones: 5 plus 8 plus 4 is 17. And 1 plus 7 is 8. Well, there's your 8. Then there's a 3 there. And so what you'll actually see is that every 3 between a 3, 6, and 9 gives you exactly the numbers 1, 2, 4, 8, 7, 5. No repeats. It gives you vortex math. Okay. Now, when you add this pillar right here, you get 52. And you add this pillar over here, you get 65. And 52 plus 65 is 117. And very shortly, you're going to see exactly why we're talking about 117. It is very important. All right. Okay. So when we plot this around a circle, as I showed you earlier, you can actually make some really cool music. Okay. So if I were to take the 3, 6, and 9 triangle and I rotate it 1 rotation, now I have the point at 1, I have the point at 7, I have the point at 4. Well, 174, as you guys know from your chakra frequency classes or anything along those lines, is going to be your frequency of thought, right? That is your starting point. If I were to rotate it again, now I have 1, 1, and 1. And that's what you see down here. So this right here actually makes music if you were to follow it through. And the really amazing thing is there's only 3-digit numbers that are going to reveal, and there's only 2 that are going to reveal the same number over and over. So in other words, 111 and 888. So if you're into alchemy or your elements, you know that 1 is hydrogen, and you know that 8 is going to be oxygen, and hydrogen plus oxygen makes water. Water is what generates your cells. So there's a lot that goes into this, just, at the basics of this. Okay. All right. So the reason I taught you the vortex math is because vortex math reveals an intriguing pattern that emerges when we apply basic doubling to numbers. Okay. And those of you that are not big on numbers, I completely understand that. Stick with me. We'll be getting into Egypt. We'll be getting into healing. We're just getting through this number part. All right. So let's explore the fascinating results obtained by starting the Fibonacci sequence with the 2 1s, 2 2s, 2 4s, 2 8s, 2 7s, and 2 5s. Okay, so that's what you're seeing right here. I started the Fibonacci with the 1 1, following the vortex math of the 1. And that gave me 117. And then I did it with 2 2. and that gave me 117. And then I did it by 4, 4, and that gave me 117. And I continued doing it, and you can see it in this chart: 1, 2, 4, 8, 7, 5. This is vortex math. And every single time I added them across, I got 117. So I thought, okay, well, that's interesting. Let's do it with the 3, 3, because that's what's left out, 3 and 6. So I did it with the 3, 3, starting with 3. 3 plus 3 is 6. 6 plus 3 is 9. 9 plus 6 is going to be 6. Again, anything added to 9 is always going to be itself in a digital root. So it just makes it very simple. And what was amazing is it gave me a different number. It gave me 135 for both of these. Now, those of you that know anything I posted about 135 or 153, all right, that's a powerful number when it comes to Vesica Pisces. You know that these numbers right here are very important. These individual digits are very important. And so I noticed that I had 135 for both of those. So I did it, of course, with 9. And when I added up 9 across, 9 times 24 is going to give you 216. So here it is. I have these numbers of 117, 135, and 216. And this is where it comes together. Because when you take those exact numbers and you take 116 times 6, there are 6 numbers that make up the vortex math, right? 117 times 6 is 702. 135 times 2, because remember, we just had the 3 and the 6, is 270. And 216 times 1 is going to be 216. When you add those up individually, you end up with 1,188. Now, that may not mean much to the person that is looking at this, but what you will realize is there are 1,188 chapters in the Bible, giving you an average of 18 chapters per book. If you were to divide 1,188 divided by 18, you get 66, and there are 66 books in the Bible. Okay? So again, let me make this very clear. The Bible is a code book. It is a code book. I am not talking religion here. I am talking about if you're actually looking for alignments. Okay. All right. So from the Bible, we're going to talk about one other thing from the Bible, because I've talked about it, and it's going to follow the Fibonacci now that you understand this. And that is going to be the word Jesus Christ. What is absolutely amazing about these two words is that it is the name that represents a specific character. Oops, hold on a second. There we go. It is a name that represents a very specific character in the book. Okay. My name, Devin Kramer, does not equal to anything to do with Fibonacci. There's no alignment there. And I would like for each one of you guys to add up your names and see if you can align it with Fibonacci. But what is so amazing is Jesus Christ does. Okay, so if I were to start, because remember, you can start the Fibonacci with any numbers, any 2 numbers. If I start with 0 and 296, and I add 296 plus 0, I get 296. If I add 296 plus 296, I get 592. If I add 296 plus 592, I get 888. If I add 888 plus 592, I get 1480. And it continues going on. So what I noticed is that Jesus in gematria is 888 in Greek gematria, and Jesus in Greek gematria, in Christ in gematria is 1,480. 2 numbers that are found in sequence in a Fibonacci pattern. Okay. So again, I go back to this profound message of these things I can do, you can do, and more had nothing to do with religion. It had to do with numbers. It had to do with alignments. It had to do with what you are capable of doing as a human here on Earth. Okay. So I just wanted to show you that it's absolutely amazing, because when you divide the 1400 by the 888, you end up with 1.666, which again, if you go back to that chart that I showed you going up and below the golden ratio, it is very, very close. It is very, very close, and therefore falls into a Fibonacci pattern. Okay. If you want to really study this, study any of the numbers that are actually used in, for instance, the book of Exodus. You will actually find repeating numbers that when you divide them by themselves will also reveal the 1.666, taking you to the Fibonacci sequence. All right. Really awesome, really profound stuff. All right. So next thing we're going to talk about real quick is going to be Fibonacci primes, because the primes are actually located in this cycle as well. A prime number is a whole number greater than 1 that can only be divided evenly by 1 and itself without leaving a remainder. So there's nothing left over at that point. In other words, it's a number that cannot be divided into smaller whole numbers except for 1 and itself. For example, let's take the number 7. It can only be divided by 1, right? Or 7. No other whole number can go into 7 evenly, and therefore 7 is a prime number. Okay. On the other hand, if we look at the number 8, it can be divided by 1, 2, 4, and 8. Therefore, 8 is not a prime number. Okay. So prime numbers are like a special group of numbers that have a unique property. If you're into any type of crypto or any kind of studying, anything along those lines, what you will actually see is our passwords and everything. When you look at it, the most secure things that we have use prime numbers. They use 2 prime numbers and 1 non-prime quasi number, and that secures the most secure encryption that we have up until AI came out. Now we have far beyond that, but up until that point, we were using prime numbers to lock in the most secure information that we had. Okay, so what's so amazing about this is that around each of these 4 zeros is a prime number. 1 and 1, so clearly 1 is going to be 1, 7, 9, and 3. 1, 3, 7, and 9 are prime numbers and also happen to be the numbers surrounding the 0 points on this chart. Okay, so again, not only are we talking about time, not only are we talking about a compass, not only are we talking about a clock, now we are talking about the prime numbers are even found in here. Okay, so just astronomically amazing. Okay, what you learn in school will be reduced to a handful of books. What you learn outside of school will fill up libraries. Okay, I love that quote. Oops, get this thing up. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we're going to talk about the 3, 4, 5 magic. And again, I'm giving a shout out to Lucius Kahn. Lucius Kahn recently started placing numbers around other shapes. So for the longest time, we've been dealing with circles and we've been having a blast with circles, but now we're done. Now we're moving into other shapes. And so when he did this, a whole new set of magic is revealed. Okay, so first and foremost, he has a book on this. If you are interested, you can absolutely go to Amazon and get his book. And number 2, I am shouting out to him because he started this process. All right, so what you're going to see here is you're going to see Pythagoras' 3, 4, 5 triangle. 3, 4, 5 triangle has a very simple understanding. It is a squared plus b squared equals c squared. Okay, no matter what the distance is from A to B, from B to C, it should equal C to A, this point right here. A squared, B squared will equal C squared. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to show you is that we place those 60 digits around this and it fit perfectly into a 3, 4, 5 square or triangle. What you're also going to see is 3 times 4 times 5 is 60. So I found that really cool. It's almost like it's hinting. It's like, come on, put the 60 on here. It fits perfectly. Okay, so as you can see, that's what we have. Now, if you were to take and add up these numbers individually, okay, from A to B, if you added up, you would get 56. And again, I want you guys to check my math. All right, go ahead and pull it up and check the math for yourself. That's why you'll have this. So if you end up adding it up, you get 56. From B to C is going to be 105. And from C to A is going to be 119. Okay, this is following the Fibonacci 60-digit repeat pattern. When you square 56, you end up with 3,136. Okay, when you square 105, you end up with 11,025. And when you square 119, you end up with 14,161. Well, 3,136 plus 11,025 is 14,161. This is the very first time that we can align Pythagoras' 3, 4, 5 triangle directly to the Fibonacci sequence. Okay, but it goes so much more awesome than that. All right, so now what we can do is we can apply time to it, because as I showed you guys, the 0s and the 5s are very, very important. They're pockets of time. So what you'll see is 0 to 5 is going to be a one pocket. 5 to 5 is going to be 2 pockets. 5 to 0 is going to be 3 pockets. Okay, so that's your 3, 1, 2, and 3, which would be your 3, 3, 4, and 5. Same thing here. From 7 to 5 is going to be your next pocket, which would be 4. From 5 to 5 is going to be your 5th. From 5 to 0 is going to be your 6th. From 0 to 7 is going to be your 7th. So if you follow this, following this, you end up with 12. Okay, so what I did is I applied time to it. I said that, okay, what if this is 3 hours? What if this is 4 hours? What if this is 5 hours? And that's where you end up finding the alignment as well. Because 180 minutes, which is exactly 3 hours, plus 240 minutes, which is actually 240. Sorry, let me try that one more time. 180 minutes is 3 hours, 240 minutes is 4 hours, and 300 minutes is 5 hours. And so when you square those, you get 180 squared is 32,400, 240 squared is 57,600, and 300 squared is 90,000. 32,400 plus 57,600 is 90,000. I need to add a 0 there, but it's 90,000. Okay. So what's so amazing about that is now you have time that is being correlated to the 3, 4, 5 Pythagoras triangle with the Fibonacci sequence. A squared plus B squared equals C squared. All right. Now, the mystery is the human eye sees light in 324 million pixels. 324 million pixels is equal to 576 megapixels. All right. Why is that amazing? That's amazing because when you take 324 and you times it by 576, you get the speed of light. Okay. So if you go back and you look at what we were just looking at, these numbers, if you drop off the zeros, are the numbers we're dealing with: 3, 2, 4, 5, 7, 6. And when you multiply them by each other, you get the speed of light. Okay. All right. So now we have a clock. We have 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock, 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock, 11, and 12. 3, 4, and 5. All right. Which should look just like this. Whether you're putting it on a circle or whether you're putting it on a triangle, you have the exact same understanding. There are 1,440 minutes in your day. There are 86,400 seconds in your day. There are 24 hours in your day. And all of these things align with Fibonacci and align with sacred geometry. All right. Now, if we were to take a circle, okay, a full circle is 360 degrees. 20% of 360 is 72. 360 plus 72 is 432. Okay. We know that the sun's radii is 432,000 miles. Again, 99.99999%. We also know that the sun's diameter is 864,000 miles. So what I did is I took, because of the fact that we know that there are 60 numbers on each one of these, I basically aligned it with a pyramid. And when I aligned it with a pyramid, I drew a line through the center and I realized, oh my gosh, that's exactly what our pyramid is. It's broken up into 3, 4, 5 triangles. So when you take the angle that we all know, which is 51.84, and you multiply that by 60, you also end up with the speed of light. Okay. But if you end up duplicating that, you have 2 of them, you end up with 373,248. 373,248 divided by the 432 that we had up here takes us exactly to 864. Okay. It's perfectly fit. It's flawless. And as we continue going, this is where it gets really interesting. Because if you follow what Nikola Tesla said about 3, 6, and 9, and you find that 3, 6, and 9, there's only one place: 3, 6, and 9. So if you shine a white light through this location, which is the center point of this understanding, you actually break up light into 7 different colors. So you have one section for red, one section for orange, one section for yellow on this side. This is your 3. You also end up having one section for green, one section for blue, and one section for indigo, and one section for violet, which ends up giving you, or purple, which ends up giving you your 4. So it breaks it up into your chakra colors. Okay. But the most interesting thing about this is notice that the color that is violet is going down. Okay. It's going down on this. And there's a reason for that. Because in 1813, Professor Moricini of Rome discovered that steel exposed to violet rays or frequency becomes magnetic. Okay, we have these giant pyramids with stones that we can't figure out how it is that they were actually able to move these stones. And now we may have an actual understanding. Okay, so when it goes through, it becomes magnetic. Well, here is where in 2022, we discovered that the chambers in Egypt's pyramid concentrate radio waves by pushing them down. Okay, so the light comes through, it pushes down. Well, if it's pushing down the frequency for violet, then they could actually make it magnetic. So they could make their stones magnetic. And that's only us knowing which ones right now are magnetic. We have no idea what other ones could have been, or what white gold or limestone actually affects with this. So it's absolutely amazing that by pushing those frequencies down, we could have absolutely have created magnetic stones, which is how they could have built things. Okay. I absolutely love talking about that because we're just stuck when we look at the pyramids. We're like, I don't know. And then they tell you that they're built from the top down, which is a whole nother story of trying to figure that out. But if they were magnetic, that's exactly how you could actually build these. All right. Okay. So now let's move into my next favorite thing to talk about when it comes to the 60-digit repeat, which is Metatron's cube. Okay. So let's go back and look at this circle right here. We've got our 60 digits. Now what we're going to do is we're going to make 13 of them because we know that Metatron's cube is made up of 13 of these. Okay, so now we have 13. This right here, so you end up having the seed of life, then you have the flower of life, then you have the tree of life. All right, then you have the fruit of life. You have all these different parts of life that basically break into this. But what is so amazing about this, and I love talking about, is you can kind of see it. It's a little harder to see because of the fact that it's really small, but it's highlighted so you can see. The only place that every single circle, which you can call this a dimension if you want to, the only place that every single circle is actually touching another circle is at a 0 or a 5 location. So as you can see here, that would be a 5. As you can see here, that would be a 0. That would be a 5. That would be a 0. It only touches out of all 60 digits exactly at a 5 or a 0 location. Okay. So if we were to go ahead and want to make Metatron's cube from this, those of you that don't know this, what you would do is you would create the 13 circles, and then you would draw a line from one circle to every circle and repeat for every circle. So as you can see here, you start and you just draw to every single one for each one of these. And when you're finished, you have this really epic Metatron's cube. Metatron's cube holds all 5 platonic solids within it, including many, many other shapes, but it is known for its balance of the 5. It holds the dodecahedron, the icosahedron, the octahedron, the tetrahedron, and the cube, all within it. Okay. So I just wanted to show you a little bit about that because that definitely aligns with Fibonacci, as you can see, and also the number 216. And again, if you want to learn more about this, absolutely check out Lucius Kahn. He dives into this in depth in his books. All right, so let's finish off, and this is going to be the end. We are going to talk about Fibonacci and healing. All right, because this is usually what people come to me about. How do I heal myself? How do I make things apply to my life? And so that's what I wanted to show you guys. Okay, so to show you guys this, I have to talk about physicists and the most amazing discovery that we had. Physicists have made an exciting discovery in the field of quantum computing. By using laser pulses that follow the Fibonacci sequence, they have created a new phase of matter in quantum computers. This phase relies on a unique property of the Fibonacci sequence, allowing it to remain in a quantum state for longer periods of time. In quantum physics, materials can exist in different phases depending on the arrangements of their atoms or electrons. They found that by pulsing the lasers in a Fibonacci sequence pattern, it helped keep the qubits in a quantum state for an extended duration. Okay, now this is absolutely amazing because when we were trying to do quantum states, they would blow out just as fast as we were doing them. And so we were getting frustrated. So when we started applying this understanding of flashing it, which is really funny because I'm just imagining this light flashing in its eye. But when we started flashing it, it started holding its state longer. And the reason it held its state longer is because it created another state of time. Okay, so basically what it did is it created 2 states of time, which means that if you gave it a problem, it had the ability to eliminate all the ways that it doesn't work faster than it would if it was just binary. Okay, now why is that important? Why would that matter to you? Well, that matters to you because of the fact that you could do the exact same thing with music, following the Fibonacci pattern to your cells. Okay, so when our cells are exposed to frequencies allowing the Fibonacci sequence, so remember, let's go back and look at this. This is just the 24-digit repeat pattern of the Fibonacci sequence. And all I did was I applied a frequency I know aligns with my chakras. Okay, again, I will have a class coming up that is going to teach you all about chakras and all of that if you want to learn that. Well, for right now, trust me on this. These are your chakra frequencies. Okay, so all you did is you took, okay, well, if it was a 1, that would be a 174 hertz. If it was a 1, it would be a 174 hertz. If it was a 2, it's 285. If it's a 3, 396. That's my root chakra. If it's a 5, it's a 528. That's my solar plexus. 852, that's going to end up being my third eye. So this is music of the Fibonacci. Okay. Now, also what's so amazing is you can align this to an F, F sharp, and G. All right. 3 notes that are played out in the cosmos. When you listen to Sirius A and Sirius B dance around each other, you actually hear F, F sharp, and G. Okay. When you go down to your cells, before your cells go through mitosis and decide to split, we actually can hear F, F sharp, and G being played before the cells will actually divide. It's absolutely amazing. So it is very important that when you're learning this, study the F sharp, and the G. So basically what it is it's When our cells are exposed to the frequencies following the Fibonacci sequence, they exhibit unique responses, potentially leading to innovative applications in health and well-being. All right. Scientists found that when cells are exposed to frequencies resembling the Fibonacci sequence, a pattern where each number is the sum of the two preceding numbers, they displayed a new type of response called the biological tropographic phase. Okay. This distinctive response is characterized by cells' ability to adapt in two distinct time dimensions, even though time only flows one direction. The biological tropographic phase is less likely to be negatively influenced by external factors as it evolves in two different ways in time. This makes cells more resilient to the disturbances that usually cause errors or malfunctions in our biological systems. So what that means is, it means that you go quantum at this point. What your cells are doing is they are saying, okay, I could go down this timeline and see exactly how all the things in your life that you're eating, that you're drinking, that you're listening to, that you're around are causing issues in your life. And I'm going to recorrect this faster than we could have done it binary. It's going through the process and eliminating all the negativity that would be causing you issues in your healing. Okay. The discovery of the biological tropographic phase opens up new possibilities for understanding cellular behavior and could lead to innovative applications in fields such as regenerative medicine, bioengineering, and human wellness, as cells become more adaptable and resilient under the influence of these Fibonacci-based frequencies. That's why I have created 9 custom Faraday frequencies that you guys can find when you go to 9vibesuniversal.com. You can also find them on the YouTube page. There's some that are absolutely free there just for you to listen to when you are looking for healing, because it is going to readjust and restructure your cells. It is going to expand so that you open up another level of healing, another time phase of healing. Okay. You hold a healing state for longer, and that's how you end up using this to heal faster. Future medicine will be the medicine of frequencies. That was quoted by Albert Einstein. Okay. So to conclude, now that you have a better understanding of the Fibonacci sequence, you can easily apply it to various aspects of your life. Here are some examples. Firstly, you can utilize the cosmic clock, which aligns with 24 hours, 12 hours, 60 minutes, 60 seconds, and the zodiac cycle, as well as the Lucas sequence, which I taught you guys. Okay, that's one way. By incorporating this pattern into your daily routine, you can create a more efficient and balanced schedule that aligns with the natural rhythms of your well-being, basically. What is also absolutely amazing about this, when you look at this, so whenever it becomes an actual clock, it also is going to align with the precession, the equinox, because what you will see is you will see that each individual of those 60 numbers is going to be 432. You could do it minutes, hours, years. You're not going to be alive for years, but you understand what I'm saying. You could apply it to that. That means that every 5 is going to be 2,160. So not only is that in alignment with the moon, as we know, but it is also going to be the alignment that reveals the zodiacs, because 2,160 times 12, or your 12 zodiacs, is going to be 25,920. Now, if you want to apply this to an actual application of your life, every 18 days is 25,920 minutes. Okay, so you can align it that way as well. All right. Additionally, the Fibonacci sequence can be employed to promote faster and more sustained healing in your cells, as I just talked about. When exposed to this pattern, cells tend to remain in a healing state for longer periods, leading to quicker recoveries and enhanced overall well-being and healing. Furthermore, you could tap into the creative potential of the Fibonacci sequence by exploring new additions to the sequence. I am constantly telling people, okay, whenever you are working with numbers, numbers are universal. Don't allow anyone to tell you that that is not the case. Numbers are shared with everybody all over the world. Patterns are shared with everybody all over the world. It is not about being first. It is about being creative. When you create something that actually has an outcome, I promise you, no one will confuse you with anyone else. Okay, so it is not, so don't worry about that. Expand on this, grow on this, take this knowledge. That's what you're supposed to do. Okay. As a bonus, there are trading tools that you can use that follow the Fibonacci, as I said. And when you understand the Lucas and the Fibonacci, you end up becoming a better and better trader, because you end up filling the blanks that basically Fibonacci was not covering. Okay, so that's an option as well. The Fibonacci sequence is an intriguing and versatile tool that has potential to enhance various aspects of your life. So why not give it a try? You may be pleasantly surprised by the benefits that it brings into your life. Get your 9 vibes aligned, and thank you so much for joining this class. All right, so what I am going to do, I am going to actually do this, is I'm going to go down the list because I can see this here. If you have a question that you want to ask, just go ahead and ask your question. I was able to finish this a lot faster than I thought. So you can go ahead and take yourself, actually, hold on one second. I don't know if you can take yourself off mute. Let me find out.
Yeah, they can, Devin.
Perfect. Okay. So I'll say your name. If you have a question, take yourself off mute, ask your question. If you don't have a question, we'll wait 5 seconds and then just move on to the next one. All right. So I'm going to go down the list here. Pat, questions, comments, or observations? All righty. Tosh, questions, comments, or observations? I'm just going to turn myself back.
Loved it. Thank you very much.
Awesome. All right, Caitlin, questions, comments, or observations?
We're good, and I got no questions currently in the chat.
Perfect. All righty. Abid, questions, comments, or observations? Perfect. Again, if you do have a question, you don't want to say it out in chat. Some people are shy. You can go ahead and type it in chat. I just want to make sure no one has any questions before we wrap this up and I get this uploaded for you guys. Billy, questions, comments, or observations? Perfect. Chris, questions, comments, or observations? Yeah, Einstein's amazing. When you really get into the quotes of Einstein, you'll find that he was talking about nature far more than he was talking about numbers. In fact, I have one that says right here, our task must be to free ourselves by widening our circle of compassion to embrace all living creatures and the whole of nature and its beauty, by Albert Einstein. So yeah, absolutely. All right, Crystal, questions, comments, or observations? Perfect. Daniela, questions, comments, or observations?
Crystal, I noticed you were still on mute, but it looked like you were trying to say something.
Let's see. Yes, hey.
There we go.
Yeah, I'm just thankful to be here. The Einstein part is that I just to be brief, I got a chi coil and I have stones and I am working on infusing the stones with the chi coil. And that's where the Einstein part came from, about the medicine of the future. So appreciate you.
Awesome. Awesome. Well, welcome.
Thank you.
All righty. Gary, questions, comments, or observations?
Hey, I really dig what you're putting out on Facebook, and I'm a fan of what you're doing. I appreciate the free knowledge, and this is very generous of your time, and I just want you to know that I appreciate it, and thank you very much.
Thank you very much. All righty, Iru, questions, comments, or observations? All righty, Jennifer, questions, comments, or observations?
No, no questions. Thank you. Glad to be here. But yeah, great class as always. Just wanted to say thanks, and can't wait to view the replay. But thanks again.
Awesome, no problem. All right, Joshua, questions, comments, or observations?
Thank you. No questions for now. I really appreciate your time.
No problem. All right, Louisa, questions, comments, or observations?
Hi, everyone. I won't bore you with any of my observations. I saddled Caitlin with them throughout the whole session. But I do want to say that, like, every time just for anyone who's new, every time I come to one of these classes, my downloads get stronger and they happen more frequently, because when you attract your like tribe, you sort of raise your own vibration, and that's a way to start expanding. So thank you for that. That definitely happened today. And awesome. Thank you. A lot of this was review and some of it was new. So thank you so much. I'm really excited to be here.
Awesome. No problem. Even, yeah, some of this was new too. I was studying the planet alignments and I was like, wow. So I had to add it in there. So yeah, absolutely.
So that's one of the downloads I got when you were talking. Actually, it was about the planets. And what I noticed, you had said in a class before that we all have these covalent bonds, but we only have like 7 or 9 of them. And then all of a sudden I had this flash of I am the sun and these are my 7 bonds.
Yes.
And the planets, so as above, so below, as within, so without. And the other thing that I think I will tell you is that I got this incredible, profound, like download about the number 108, which is that like the meaning of it is alpha, omega, infinity. If you break that down, it's beginning, end, infinity, birth, death, rebirth. So it's like it tells us how to expand ourselves and regenerate ourselves in a forward moving expansive motion and grow. And it really tells a story of the human soul, the human journey, the soul journey, and the cosmic journey all in one. It's beautiful. It was almost like an emotional experience to see it that way. So thank you.
Those are the best. I love those experiences.
I was like, Caitlin, oh my God.
Awesome. Thank you so much for sharing.
Thank you.
Patty, questions, comments, or observations?
It's funny, I have a clarification and it piggies back on to what Louisa just mentioned, because I had a question. I wanted to clarify about the 2 hidden chakras, like 174, and is it 285, which is what you said today? And then on your website, you have it as 258. And you had 174 as an alpha universal number and omega as that 258. Because to me, what I was playing with a bunch of stuff and I saw, because I was aligning it with the zodiacs and everything and like fire, water, air, the elements. And what was freaky to me is when I was looking at the 174 and the 258, it's hidden. It was the fire, 1 is Aries, fire, 7 is air, Libra, and 4 is water, Cancer. And then when you do it with the 258 of the omega, it's earth, fire, water. And then if you cancel out the fire and the water, you have balanced air on earth. And it's the fixed earth of Taurus. And then it's the balanced air of Libra, which is kind of fascinating. So, because we're here to balance all the energies, right? The masculine and the feminine, and so I just was doing all this stuff today with the different stuff. And one thing that was really amazing to me, I know a lot of people associate red with Mars, but in this book that I was reading, this one, he was doing all the other alchemy and all kinds of stuff. And I was reading it from the point of view is, okay, I'm really nothing and everything at one and the same time. And I've come in here in a mind body, in a Merkaba, to play a character. And I'm doing that through frequency and vibration in the mind and the body, right? And so it is when I balance all these energies, it's like I've transcended the matrix. You know, and that's why I was getting to that balanced earth and air, because it's the fire and the air that are the masculine energies. But if you balance the air, you know, like that scale, then it's just like, I see the relationship of nature. You know how the plants give us the carbon dioxide and we give them the air. It's just completely harmonious. So I wanted to clarify that. Or does it even matter if it's 285 or 258? Does it matter?
So what's really interesting, it really doesn't matter. And the reason is because of the fact, so when you're dealing with those 2 numbers, those top numbers, you have 147 and 258 that follow one pattern. And then you have 174 and 285 that follow another. What's really cool is if you actually add 147 plus 285, you get 432. And if you add 174 plus 258, you get 432. So both of them are going to lead you back to the sun. So absolutely, according to your alignment, it's just a matter of us remembering it when we follow that one category. So it's 174, 285, 396. And if you follow that, it's very harmonious. It goes all the way down.
Sorry, I got off on a tangent. What I was going to say in this book, it said that Mars was actually yellow. The colors, they were aligning the color. And it was like Jupiter or Saturn was black. Where is it? It was just so fascinating to me. So I was aligning color. And so it was like Saturn is black, Jupiter is white, Mercury is red, Venus is blue, Mars is yellow, the moon is silver, and then the sun is gold. And it was like saying our 7 planets are like the gateway to heaven. It's the ladder to heaven. And so then I was like, and then it did it on like the Merkaba too. So it had it like 3 feminine and 3 masculine planets and the sun in the center. I was
Mhm.
just looking at all those different alignments and the frequencies and then adding up, like the 1 and the 8 go together, the 7 and the 2 go together to balance it, you know? And
Right.
so I just had this whole different download about it, kind of like what Lisa was doing, but you really want to get rid of everything but the moon and the sun. And all the energies are balanced. The other masculine and feminine are just balancing the sun and the moon. So you have a full,
Absolutely.
you're fully illuminated, and that's reflected in the moon here on Earth. So
Yep.
it's really fascinating, some of the stuff that I was receiving and even
Awesome.
going through this class again. So I just wanted to clarify those frequency numbers, but because those are hidden.
Yeah, yeah, they absolutely are hidden. Everyone always starts with the 396, and that
Mhm.
makes a lot of sense. But when you go back to, let me see here real quick. Go to,
It also gets into those dimensions, you know, like 10, 11, 12, 13, you know, because we
Mhm.
don't have chakras, but if you do the digital root, then you get back to it. But it's just fascinating. I'm just playing with all those and getting
Yeah.
down.
So when you go back to this and you take that equilateral triangle and you rotate it around, that's how you end up with all these different frequencies.
Okay, so there it's 285.
Yes, because you end up with both rows, because there's 12 on one and 12, like it, you end up, so the reason you have the 111 and the 888 is because it ends up filling in the blank, basically. So if you were to rotate this, it's going to be 174 first, then it's going to be 111. Then it's going to end up being 2, 8, and 5. Then it's going to end up being 3, 9, and 6. So you follow it all the way through to make the music. They all go together. You can't just pick one or the other. The only reason we focus on one side when it comes to our chakras is because we know that 528 hertz is an actual frequency that aligns with that. So we know that that column is the one that aligns with our chakras, but they both go hand in hand. They're not opposing each other. They actually are harmonious of each other.
Yeah. Yeah. I was just thinking of aligning. I was like doing like, okay, this planet's masculine, this one's feminine, you know, and just
Yep.
aligning all that and balancing it out. So it's quite fascinating when you look at it, adding in the zodiacs with the numbers and the energy that because they're archetypes.
Right. Absolutely. They're energy states. Yeah.
Yeah. So anyway,
Awesome.
this was wonderful. Thank you.
Welcome. Thank you. All right, Teresa, questions, comments, or observations? Okay. Alrighty then. So I'm going to go ahead and wrap this up so that I can get this uploaded to YouTube. So the way that this is going to work is I'm going to upload it to a YouTube. You guys are going to receive an email that is going to have the PDF. You're going to have the link to this actual slideshow, and you're going to have the YouTube. You're also going to have just a little bit of survey to let know how it went, you know, because I just want to constantly adjust and really get this to be open for as many as they can. I know a lot of you guys have taken this before, so I wanted to add in new stuff. But as we continue moving out, I really want to be able to craft this. Awesome. I can't say I understand a lot of this. No problem, Billy. Thank you so much for being here. And thank you everybody for joining. So you guys will get that email. And other than that, I'll talk to you guys online. Have a fantastic day.
Thank you.